Countries that sell passports directly or indirectly without requiring you to spend time living in the country usually start at $105,000 in Sierra Leone, but if we want greater freedom of movement, we need to increase the budget. First, we begin with El Salvador, a $1 million donation, directly in crypto without the need to convert into fiat, no-brainer, and in less than 4 to 6 weeks. You receive citizenship along with the passport. With this program, you can include your spouse and your children up to the age of 18, or even older if they are financially dependent on you, such as being in school or unable to work. That said, for the current price of this passport, we can get better options, better citizenships. It wouldn't be the first one I would buy with a $1 million budget, but it must be mentioned since it's currently the only investment citizenship program available in the Americas. Second, I want to mention combinations pairing programs in the Caribbean, like Antigua, Grenada, or St. Lucia. These are solid Caribbean options, but they are essentially just travel documents or institutional documents, nothing more. And why do I say this? Because I can't consider these options as real countries. Sure, you can always move to the Caribbean or to any CARICOM country, but they are not countries with embassies around the world, they carry the purchase passport SIGMA, and they don't offer everything you might need, unlike Turkey, which we'll discuss shortly. In the Caribbean, prices range between $200,000 to $400,000 depending on the option you choose: donation, real estate, or sovereign bonds in St. Lucia. Honestly, I don't find the real estate option very appealing because the properties are pre-approved, not in the open market, and in most cases, for the minimum investment, they only give you a share of the property, not a full unit. Personally, I would consider donating the money and forgetting about it, or putting it sovereign bonds in St. Lucia, which are returned about 35 years without interest. That's around $300,000 plus legal fees, due diligence, and government changes. As we have seen, in 2025, the European Union forced Malta to shut down its citizenship by investment program, a program that could have easily made this lead. Despite requiring the full budget, it gave you the incredible mobility, a highly respected reputation, and a document that virtually every institution would accept. Also, the EU is gradually tightening its grip on the Caribbean programs, and we don't know if they will eventually lose their Schengen access. So if you want to keep Schengen access, we have two options: either invest in a golden visa such as Hungary's, Greece's, or Latvia's, which range from €100,000 to €500,000 and ensure Schengen access, or choose programs by exception like Serbia, Albania, Bosnia, or even Georgia, where a donation or investment between €300,000 to €500,000 that catches the attention of the national authority can grant you citizenship in under a year. All the countries just mentioned offer Schengen access and don't directly sell their passport, so you won't have a passport with a bot label, nor will the EU attack that country for selling it. If you go with the Caribbean, a golden visa with Schengen, and a Balkan or Caucasian program, you will have your €1 million spent and a pretty good reputation as a result. For me, the Caribbean are not real countries because 9 of 10 viewers that are watching this, they are not going to live there, but there are backup options to have in mind. Alternatively, we can consider Turkey, a citizenship that I personally like a lot. This is not about donation. We are talking about investment, $400,000 in real estate for 3 years, during which you can rent the property and afterward sell it while keeping the citizenship. You can recover your investment within a few years. That way, you have spent very little on the program and reinvest in other residencies, golden visas, or citizenships. One downside is that Turkey doesn't have Schengen access, but frankly, I don't really mind because we can always combine it with another option that does. And despite Turkey offering the passport for a long time, it doesn't carry the same bot stigma because it's a large country with embassies around the world. If something ever happens to you, they can help. It can be paired with a Latin American citizenship by exception, such as Mexico, Argentina, or Paraguay, where a donation or investment in a less developed area starting from €250,000 can get you the passport in under a year without needing to live there, though you would need to get residency first and maybe spend a few months in the country or not in some cases. As I mentioned earlier, Malta is a clear example for this video, but we also have ambitious options by exception or by merit in countries like Hungary, Slovakia, Slovenia, Austria. These have excellent reputations and their passports are considered among the best in the world, alongside Spain, Japan, and the UAE, although the latter doesn't have visa-free access to the US. For an EU citizen, it may not make sense to invest in Hungary or Slovakia to get another passport of this quality, but rather to obtain a plan A or B outside the EU, maybe within Europe, the Caribbean, or Latin America. But for others who want visa-free access to the US, Canada, Australia, China, and Russia, these options are very solid. Their cost is about millions, maybe 2 millions, maybe 5 million, maybe 10 millions, but no donation, just investment. Please, 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 don't believe any ad you see on Instagram, Facebook, or Google, claiming you can get the Hungarian, Slovak, Slovenian, or Romanian passport through a €50,000 donation in under a month. That's completely fake. If you receive any document at all, it was probably printed if someone's office that same afternoon. And if nothing arrives, the scammer has simply taken your €50,000. And whatever you do, don't present one of these fake documents at an airport. You could get in serious trouble. That's why, especially for programs by exception, by merit, by presidential decree, where things are not always clearly laid out, you must go through highly reputable firms. And don't be surprised if you need to travel to the country for at least one day to do biometrics at some police station. Many people also consider buying a passport from the Caribbean, Serbia, Albania, Argentina, or another specific country, and then using the remaining budget to obtain temporary or permanent residency visas and golden visas through investment in 5 to 10 other countries. The goal? Plant flags, banking flags, resident flags, business flags. For instance, many people obtain a golden visa in a Schengen country to live there while being able to travel freely across the zone, especially if their current passport lacks Schengen access. Next, they might get a golden visa in the UAE either through real estate or donation. Instead of investing $500,000 in property, they might get the golden visa by nomination, without needing to invest this amount. Why? If you are not going to live in the UAE, maybe because you want to incorporate a company there or set up their banking structure. They might have something in Africa or Asia, like PR in Mauritius, the Thailand Elite Visa, or any other permanent residency through bank deposit, business investment, or simple because they want to live there. Many people structure in this way. Of course, we also have options like Vanuatu or Nauru, which are documents that can be useful for crypto exchanges or for operating quietly in the crypto world, or simply for passport collectors, or for those who want a plan B outside of the global control hubs, just in case things get worse in a few years. These programs start from around $130,000 to $170,000, depending on the number of family members and the modality. There is also Cambodia, Jordan, Egypt, and Sierra Leone, which don't fit into the €1 million strategy, but might be either later on by someone who is interested in collecting passport or doing business in these regions, where being a citizen gives you opportunities and removes the need for a local partner because you become your own local partner. Finally, I want to mention one combination that few people know about or talk about. That's why I left it for the end of the video. It involves using international treaties to obtain two citizenship through a single strategy. This is the case with the community of Portuguese language countries, where Brazil and Portugal are the strongest passport in the group. But you approach it through a more remote country, such as Angola, Cape Verde, Guinea-Bissau, Mozambique, Sao Tome and Príncipe, or East Timor. Once you obtain citizenship from one of these remote countries, you can receive temporary residence in Brazil without investing anything. You would need to live there for 2 years under temporary status and 1 year under permanent residency. Or you can invest maybe $100,000 or less in a specific area and receive PR right away. And during that 1 year as a permanent residence, you only need to spend 9 months in the country and you will get Brazilian citizenship, which is one of the best in Latin America. Plus, you can get an African passport for diversification. Almost no one uses this strategy, either because it's hard to obtain citizenship by exception in these remote countries, or because they don't know this is possible, or simply because they don't want to live in Brazil for a year. But honestly, I wouldn't consider it. 9 months in Brazil, if you spend 1 month in each region, you won't get bored. Brazil has some great places to live, like Florianopolis. Also, Brazil makes it much easier to naturalize once you meet the requirements than Paraguay, Chile, Uruguay, or Panama, countries where you can meet all the criteria, but without good connections, good lawyers, or a willingness to spend money, your application could drag for life. These are the combinations that we can initially observe across the map. You can fill out the form to discover which citizenships you want to obtain, and we will get that for you.